Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Tamara, and today we are discussing our May Buddy Read thriller title. If you would like to see this in video format, come on over to Patreon and check it out. You'll be able to watch the whole thing without commercials. We also have a fun after show also available on Patreon. Don't forget, you can join me and my two co-hosts over on the Book Clubs app for even more bookish chats. Please subscribe and like the podcast wherever you're listening. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me everywhere at Shelf Addiction. Joining me is feature co-host Classy from the Bookish Virtual Assistant. Welcome back, Classy.
Sometimes it's just like that.
Tongue twister.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey, all right. Tell everyone where they can find you.
They can find me at the Bookish Virtual Assistant on Instagram. I also have another account, Classy Green on Instagram, Classy Green on Twitter, and those are all the spots you can find me.
All right, so before we get started, of course, spoiler alert with all book chats, full spoilers, so you've been warned. Don't say we didn't tell you. All right, so today we are discussing All the Dangerous Things, written by Stacey Willingham. The audiobook is narrated by Carissa Vacker, published January 10th, 2023 by Minotaur Books and Macmillan Audio. The hardcover comes in at 326 pages, and the unabridged audio is 10 hours. Classy, would you kindly share the synopsis?
Yes. 1 year ago, Isabel Drake's life changed forever. Her toddler son, Mason, was taken out of his crib in the middle of the night while she and her husband were asleep in the next room. With little evidence and few leads for the police to chase, the case quickly went cold. However, Isabel cannot rest until Mason is returned to her, literally. Except for the occasional catnap or small blackout where she loses track of time, she hasn't slept in a year. Isabel's entire existence now revolves around finding him, but she knows she can't go on this way forever. In hopes of jarring loose a new witness or buried clue, she agrees to be interviewed by a true podcaster. But his interest in Isabel's past makes her nervous. His incessant questioning paired with her severe insomnia has brought up uncomfortable memories from her own childhood, making Isabel start to doubt her recollection of the night of Mason's disappearance, as well as second-guess who she can trust, including herself. But she's determined to figure out the truth, no matter where it leads.
All right. So, you guys, I've read this or listened. I listened to the audiobook. I did this in a day and a half, basically. I started yesterday morning, finished this morning. I did try to do a reading vlog for it. So it's on Patreon only.
Oh, good.
Because I'm like, let me do it. It's going to be a quick turnaround. And it was. I just couldn't start any sooner. And I'm glad I waited. I kind of like the adrenaline rush of having to finish it so quickly.
Yeah.
Did you finish it a couple days ago or?
Yeah, I finished it a couple of days ago because I was trying to be patient, but it got to the point where, where you're just listening and you're intrigued and enthralled. Mm-hmm. And before I know it, I was like at a high percentage. And I was like, I probably should wait so it could be more fresh in my mind, but I couldn't. I just forget it. So I took some notes to kind of help refresh my memory, but I didn't read a whole lot of books in between, that time. So I won't have any crossover of characters because sometimes I will do that.
Mm-hmm,
I'll be talking about a whole nother book and it's like, no, that's not the book. So yeah, but it did take, any time except for me just trying to drag it out until we record it. So
okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So for me, full disclosure, I went into this kind of I feel like it could be good, but I wasn't overly excited because in January, I had read A Flicker in the Dark by the same author, and I rated it 3 out of 5. Now, that book was published in 2022, and this one was published this year. So I was like, okay, I liked it, right? You know how the threes are. You don't dislike it. You don't love it.
Right.
And I was pleasantly surprised that I like this one a lot more than the first one.
Okay.
So I'm like, she got better with her next book. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something to consider, because usually, that sophomoric slump,
Mm-hmm.
they don't get better. So, and I know I read a review that someone said that this book was, the premise of it, I think, was similar to Flicker in the Dark. I did not read Flicker in the Dark, and that was something I was going to ask you. Like, did you feel a similarity?
I personally did not, but to be
Okay.
fair, I mean, A Flicker in the Dark was a fast read for me. But to be really honest, I could not summarize that book for you right now. It was one of those where you
Mm.
read it, you're like, okay, and then I promptly moved into something else. So it didn't even settle with me for very long.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that made me go, OMG, or, we remember details for books for a long time when it hits a certain way.
Right.
And that just, it flowed over me like water.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that's
So,
not. So,
so you basically didn't have a book hangover with A
no,
Flicker in the Dark.
I did
Yeah.
not.
Okay. Yeah. And that says a lot. Like, if you can't remember details and you're just like, um, yeah. Because
Mm.
I was out with dinner, and I'll be quick about that, last night with a friend, and she's like, "So who should I be reading?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this, and that, and she said, what's it about? And I just started laying it all out to her. So yeah, that's when you know, that's a good book. If I can, and I read that book probably 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it says a lot.
Yeah, definitely. So let's do our thing. So when you finished the book, the last word was heard. What did you think?
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, revenge is what what do they call, what is that statement?
It's a dish best served
Gosh,
cold.
yes, that was it.
Mm-hmm. It was
And
great.
yeah, and the way it was done, it was just so smooth and calm, and and yeah, I was like, I was rooting for her at the end,
Yeah.
because and the way it was done, and the
Mm-hmm.
support that she had, that out open, it really wasn't there, but like she was saying, the police officer, he just kind of looked over things the same way that other officer did when,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll talk about it later, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'll just kind of say it like that. And I was like, you're right.
So that officer was the worst.
Yeah.
When he asked her, say this and then I'll say what I thought. When he asked her, well, how do you feel about this? Verbally, I said, I feel fucking homicidal. That's how I would feel. What do you mean she took my kid? What do you mean, how do you feel? What do you mean?
I think he was trying to get a reaction out of her to kind of see, like, did
Like,
she or
yes, I
did she
did
not?
it.
Mm-hmm. Even though he did, like she said,
He knew.
yeah, right. She had the cut hand, all this stuff. And yeah, like, what the hell?
What do you mean? What do I feel?
Come on, dude. I harassed you guys on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think I was just nice and kind to this woman that I just met, that I knew?
You know what? That scene, y'all. Okay, so we jump to so that scene between the two women, between Isabel and Valerie, when she's like, "What did you do with my kid?" I'm like, "Oh no, she is gonna beat your ass to death." Because
Yeah,
that is the thing where, while I don't have any kids, I know how protective I feel even over my nieces and nephew. And if I knew someone took them, I will
yeah,
beat the answer out of you. I am sorry.
yeah,
You're gonna tell me. And I
yeah,
can imagine mothers being like rage, seeing red. Like, that's it. I'm like, girl, you have
yeah.
signed your death warrant just now.
When I read that, I am a mother. When I was reading that, all, I felt like I was hurt, and all of a sudden, you started ticking everything that added up, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just like, bitch,
Yes, exactly.
bitch.
Mm-hmm.
You are the mother. Yes.
Yeah.
I was just like, because it was just like you're thinking, and all of a sudden it clicks like, this bitch took my kid.
Yeah.
I know the fuck you didn't.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like you're plotting in your head, like, yeah, I'm gonna kill her ass. But you
Mm-hmm.
kind of want, but she was cool because she wanted her to say a few more things. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's just like, once you confirm it,
It
you
was
like a
just,
spider monkey on there.
yes.
Yes.
I was like, don't
Oh,
kill her too fast. Don't kill her too
yes.
fast.
Yeah. But that's how I felt, like it was just all of a sudden clicking, like, wait a minute. So she was the one that the old man saw
Saw.
walking down the street
Mm-hmm.
who thought it was me. She was the one, it's just like all of a sudden you just putting these pieces together. And every time I'm putting a piece together, I'm kicking your ass. You
Yes.
get every time I get a clue, I'm kicking your ass.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. So
Yeah.
at the end of that book, I felt pretty good about it. And I think there were a lot of things that I instantly liked about how Stacey Willingham wrote this book. So I loved how not only did she make Isabel an unreliable narrator, she also had her be kind of unlikable
Mm,
because she was doing stupid things. She was not doing the right things. And even though she was unlikable, I feel like she was relatable. And that's hard to do. Like, I
yeah.
don't like her actions. I don't like some of the things she's doing, but I kind of get it.
Yes, exactly. And I think that was because of those taboo subjects kind of that she touched upon, because in motherhood, um you're already ladled with guilt of, I'm not doing enough things. And here this woman, for one, like you said, she was unreliable. A mother, her child is gone, she's automatically the first suspect. um she wasn't sleeping, and yeah, she was doing some really stupid things. But like you were saying, in that moment you understood it, because it's like, this woman, the police aren't helping me. So I'm just going rogue until I'm throwing everything at the wall until something sticks. Yes, it's stupid to kind of go out here and do these podcasts, and it's only a year, and yeah, I kicked the man's ass at the at the
Yeah.
supermarket when I found out he was a perp, but it's just like your mindset. She was just out of her mind.
But
My
she
baby
wasn't
is
a good
gone.
person at her core. Like, let's think about it. Like, let's
Yeah,
break it down. She was having an emotional affair with him while he was married with
yeah,
her
that too.
husband. She
Yeah, you're
was.
right.
And it was like she
Yes.
was talking smack about his wife. She was doing all those things that are
Hmm.
ick.
Yeah.
And this is what you
But we
got.
never had sex though. We never did anything. She kept
Dude.
throwing that out there. I was like, yeah, heifer.
Until,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the thing, her husband, he kept ratcheting it up every time. So I'm like, did this fool think he could just keep trading up every time he got sick of somebody? Just
Yep.
go find a twin or a look-alike and just keep re-upping with new relationships? He never let one in before he started another.
Nope. And soon as they do something that he did not like, yeah, he traded them in for a new model.
He like, I'm done with you. Let's keep it
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah. But he did ratchet up the level of intensity.
Hmm.
He kept dangling the carrot in front of her, kiss her, and then was like, no, not
Hmm.
yet. I'm still married. Soon
And then
we'll
at the
get to that.
woman's her wake, like her
Yeah,
funeral,
that
her
right
out here
there when he
making out. Get the like that is
yeah,
not good.
right. And when she didn't push him away, and I was just like, no.
That's not good.
She's like, but I'm comforting him. And I was like, and those were
No.
those moments you were like, yeah, you was a stupid. But,
Hmm.
he made her believe that he tried so hard to help his wife, but she had a problem.
Lies,
Yeah.
lies, lies. And then it's like, how stupid do you feel when you find out he's doing the same thing to someone else and acting like you the crazy one? You the one that can't be helped. You're the psycho it
Mm-hmm.
leaves their child, so it's like what goes around comes
Comes
around.
around. Yeah.
Like
And
you
they do
can't.
say that you got to remember the same way you got him.
Exactly, is how you gonna lose them. Like you cannot think that you are special. And that is
Yeah.
why I think mistresses can never really trust the man,
Mm-hmm.
because you got him sneaky, you're gonna lose him that same way, because it's never,
Yep.
you're not special.
No, not at all.
Mm-mm,
But
mm-mm,
yeah, she, and I think I text you like that too, that it was a slow burn.
mhm,
It started off slow, but the way Stacy writes, she weaves such a good tale. Because I'm not a slow burn person. I'm getting better. But this one I enjoy because the way she weaved this story, it was she just kind of like opened up little pieces, like she revealed each character slowly to you and their flaws. And it wasn't just like in your face. You're just like, oh, so he really is an asshole.
mhm,
Oh, so and so, and that just
mhm.
kept that suspense. I think that's probably it. The way she weaved it, she kept it suspenseful.
Yeah.
Even though it was slow, it was suspenseful. And then it slowly picked up. And then it was just like, wham. And I was like, okay, I like you. I like your writing, ma'am. You're doing a great job. And then the subplot, with the when she was, because she did the dual timelines. So yeah, she really did a great job of some difficult um techniques that not too many authors can
It's
do.
hard to pull off. Like
Yeah.
the whole time, like in the past, the whole time I'm thinking, did you kill your sister? Dude, did you kill your sister? Another reason not to like her. Because
Yes.
even if she didn't, and I'm like, but how in the thing? And I kind of, it's like I knew, but I didn't know. It's because, like, she would talk about this memory or dream. And I'm like, but how did you get the marks, the finger marks on your skin? If she just waded out into the water, how did you get those that
Yeah.
you scrubbed? Like something happened. How did
Not
you
bit.
get touched?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, there's something missing. And then we
Mm-hmm.
got it at the end. We figured out what it
Yeah.
was.
Right. Because she would leave it right there for you, and
Mm-hmm.
then the chapter would change back to
Mm-hmm.
now. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay. And then you kind of forget, and then she bring in, yeah. So she did. Wow. She does. I really liked how she used the subplot with, it was basically two mysteries,
Yeah.
and she did a really good job in, the mystery from the past. It was just kind of like what the synopsis said, you know, did it intertwine itself with her future, because she sleepwalks,
Yeah. She
and she
never
had
stopped.
trouble. Yeah, she had started at 7 years old, and her sister was like, "You scare me.
Mm-hmm.
There's times where you just stand over my bed and looking at me." And like you said, is she never stopped it. And as an adult, she was doing it, and she didn't realize it until she saw herself on camera on the baby monitor over
And
her
she's like, oh
child.
my God. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that ratcheted up that climax of the story. It was just like, ooh, because she
Yeah.
saw her in her child's room just standing there for like what, an hour or
And
two.
honestly, the author mentioned that one, through the psychologist, she mentioned that one case. I remember that case where that
Mm,
guy sleptwalked, got in the
yes,
car, drove somewhere, got out, murdered somebody, and drove home.
home. His in-laws, didn't he?
Yes,
I
yes,
think
it
that was
was.
his in-laws. Yeah,
Yes. And I'm like,
and
I
never
remember that
remembered it.
story. And
Yeah.
it's like, I've never seen someone sleepwalk. I've never seen it. You have?
My child suffered from night terrors, and I've seen him get up and just look at me straight in the eye screaming.
That's so scary.
Yeah, and I'm literally trying to shake him awake, and he's looking at me and still in his dream.
That is so
And
scary
it's
to
scary.
me.
Yeah.
Because if I saw someone just standing there or doing something or walking, and it's true, like in this book, it's that theory, you should not awaken a sleepwalker because they might lash out at you or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I can't imagine that. I would be very fearful of like,
Yeah.
how do you keep someone? Okay, so side note, I know this is off topic, but in Yellow Jackets, there that show on
Adding that to my list
it's
of
so
things to
good. So
watch.
there is a
Yeah.
character that basically sleepwalks. And her
Okay.
girlfriend does all kind of things to try to keep her butt in bed. Like she's like tying her to her wrist and everything because she would just get up and just walk. You don't know what's going on.
Mm,
And it's like, oh my God. I mean, I just cannot imagine seeing somebody in that state. And how would I deal with that? And despite this character being scary to the younger sister, she still sought comfort with her. Like,
yeah.
I'm scared of you when you do this, but not scared enough to
Right.
be leery.
Yeah, because with kids, it's that trust factor. And in this story, Isabel was all Margaret had because the mom was out of it. And I
Mm.
immediately knew that the mother suffered from depression or something. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she painted, she was always in a robe.
Oh, you could
Um,
tell. Yeah. Something was wrong
the
with the
daughter
mom.
is cooking. Isabel is, this is how I kind of, it clicked. Isabel can only make omelets and grilled cheese. And when Margaret was like, I'm tired of grilled cheese, I was like, damn. So mother isn't cooking and she so mama isn't cooking and she's
Yeah.
always in a robe and they got her in this little room painting.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was clear, but we didn't know what. Like, I think the
No.
author kind of led us to think that she was always side eyeing Isabel. And
Yeah.
when we find out, it's like, wow, she just really tried to distance herself because you guys, she tried to kill her her two living
Mhm.
children.
Yeah.
She killed one and didn't get to the second because the daddy came.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
So
who?
yeah.
My
And that was
God.
another thing. Like now that we're talking about this, all the different layers in this story, you have the postpartum psychosis, sleepwalking,
Mm-hmm.
a kidnapped child. She touched on so many things, and I've read some stories where somebody's just they're all over the place. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, this story. No, Stacy weaved this
Yeah,
perfectly.
it
It was,
showed. It
it was,
worked. Yeah.
yeah. She she tied it all together and it worked so well. And like and this is one of those stories when I finished it, I sat down and there were a few other things that made me think and I was like, and she didn't mention it and I mean, and I bet she probably wrote that or was thinking that when she wrote it. Like Ben used her sleepwalking to his
He
advantage.
did.
You know? Like
Mm-hmm.
he knew that to kind of get the suspicion off of him. He's like, "Oh, we could do this because she sleepwalks."
Yeah, like she's
And
a
that's how
deep sleeper.
yeah.
She won't
And
wake
I was
up.
like, "Mhm. Exactly." And then they used that, with cuz Ben was cheating on her again, audience.
For
After
years, 2
yeah, then now that
years.
threw me.
That's why I'm
Oh
like,
my
he's getting
god.
more bold. 2 years. It's like the
Yes.
minute Ben figured out or the minute she told him she was pregnant, he was already trying to find her
Girl,
replacement.
yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Because it basically, because she said he seemed happy. No, he was. As
Mm-mm.
soon as he was like, "Oh, got to find another one. Got to find one who's going to do what I want them to do."
He was good
So
at
his first wife
gaslighting
was,
women.
oh gosh,
That's what he did. He gaslit his
yeah,
first wife and his second wife.
yeah, and he always looked for someone he thought he could manipulate, gaslight. The first wife he met in high school, married her when she was 20
20.
and he was 23, 24.
Mhm.
And as soon as she wanted to start her own career, he basically
Kibosh.
had plans to get rid of her.
He wanted a trophy wife that would sit at home and be a housewife and look the way he wanted and do what he said. He wanted
mhm.
a robot he could control. He wanted a Stepford wife.
Yep. We don't need money. Why do you want to work?
Mm-hmm.
And then she wound up pregnant.
Yes, she did.
And yeah. And I think she even mentioned in this story, oh, damn it. Again, another piece that I love. the whale or the dolphin,
Oh
or was
yeah,
it the whale?
it was a dolphin
It was a
mother.
dolphin.
Mm-hmm.
And at first it was just like I was like, okay, it's a cool story. And then I'll give you guys a backstory. So her first piece, I think she have to submit this story to get the job at the Grit?
Yeah,
And the
that
Grit
was the
is where,
story that Ben read and he said he really liked.
yeah. So she was a journalist who wanted to get hired at the Grit, and come to find out, um, Ben was what, the head
He's the
editor or whatever,
publisher or something like
publisher
the,
of the,
yeah, he was the head
yeah.
of it.
And her story was, she had saw in her town a whale, a dolphin was pushing around a dead dolphin, the baby, and
Mm-hmm.
she didn't realize what was going on. And the person, that was watching said the mother was mourning,
Mm-hmm.
and people mourn in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
and that dolphin kept pushing the baby through the water for, they said, what, like months. It had been
Yeah, it was a
months since she, and
while.
yeah, and they said the dead body was just bloated and everything. And the thing that hit me in retrospect was, they said that it's known, I don't know if it was the male dolphins or the male in the animal kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes will kill the young because basically mom is giving the baby too much attention.
Yeah,
And then it was like,
that, and it's
and
twofold.
that's been.
Yeah, it's Ben, and it's twofold because when her mother lost her infant, the mother lost a
Mhm.
baby. And then they were talking about this doll with the same
Yes,
name.
with the same name.
So it was like
Oh,
she wasn't ready to let go of this baby either.
yeah. Yes. Exactly. Right, because the mother basically put that in Margaret's head, because
Hmm.
Margaret didn't know really. Well, they knew Ellie, but but
Hmm.
she kind of encouraged, I think, her to probably name her Ellie.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was just like, I like that piece. I like how she
Yeah.
did that. Yeah, it was just, it was just one of those stories where after you're done with it, you're just like, oh yeah, remember, now I see why she did that.
Yeah. Like that's repeating. It's like that's just kind of reinforces that people have different ways of grieving and
Grieving.
and how men are. Not all
Mm-hmm.
men, y'all. I'm not saying all
Not
men,
all.
but in
No.
this story.
Yeah. Right. And he
Yeah.
basically wanted to be the center of attention. And like you were saying, he wanted a trophy wife that only focused on him.
Yes.
So
And
yeah,
he
it's
wanted the
just,
same looking kind of woman, which
yeah,
is a
he had a type.
psycho. Like you
He
go
had a
and you
type.
find someone that also has similar features, like that is weird.
Yeah. But yeah, and there were just so many just so many little nuggets in this story that, um like when I was writing my notes, I was like, "Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
but she had some twist in there that I did not see coming. That ending, like I did not see. I did not feel like Ben had did it, and I definitely didn't see him bringing in his lover to help him. Basically, I did
Well,
not see that coming.
technically he didn't. He again,
Oh,
let me just float some ideas. She
yeah.
Isabel talked about how he does it, and the next thing you think is your
He lays it
idea.
out. Yeah, the same way he said with Allison. Like
Yeah.
he didn't give her he just laid the pills out there.
Yeah. Like he just laid the
So,
loaded gun there
mhm.
and let
And
them
just
do
kind of
it.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
put that idea in there. Yeah, she's not a good mother. She's
Mm-hmm.
always leaving me with the baby, and I'm like, that's your child.
Yeah.
How is she not a good mother? That's your child.
Yeah.
You can't watch your own baby. Oh, and gosh, the baby monitor, these batteries in this monitor
I
have been
know,
out for
just
months.
complaining, but he's laying foundations.
Yeah, just dropping
Just
those little
dropping it
ideas
down.
in your head. And she's
Mm-hmm.
just like, so for me to get Ben, I need to get rid of the baby. And then, he'll just divorce because then he doesn't have a tie to Isabel.
He doesn't want the baby. She doesn't deserve the baby.
The
And I
baby
know someone who needs one.
does bad. Yes. So, yes, you're right. He didn't actually do it,
Mm-mm.
which is why
He still deserved to be
she,
there.
Oh yeah, which is why Isabel framed his ass.
Yes, which she did.
For
Okay.
killing. Oh,
All right, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and finish this conversation. And I have a
Yes.
couple other points I'd like to make as well.
Okay.
So do stay tuned. By listening to these commercials, you are supporting the podcast. So we appreciate that. And also feel free to check out the book review journal available on Amazon right now. We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by the Shelf Addiction merch store. Check out all the bookish t-shirts, notebooks, mugs, and more. Don't miss out on these original designs, perfect for any book nerd. Support the podcast and visit shelfaddiction.com/merch and pick up your next favorite bookish item. All right, welcome back. Let's continue.
Okay, I want to hear your points.
Okay,
we've been talking in tandem. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that the author, now there was an author's note at the end which supports her opinions on like mental health when it comes to like postpartum and women's issues like that. But I also think she was trying to make an opinion about true crime watchers, readers, listeners. She didn't talk about this post, but I felt a little bit like she was talking shit about people who enjoy true crime.
Did you?
I did.
Come on, tell me more.
Now, this is my opinion.
Yes.
But in the beginning, you know, Isabel was talking shit about these people at the convention. She was like, who wants to do, but yet you're here talking to people who will listen.
Right.
You were turned off by Wayland being a podcast person until you realized, oh, he lost a sister. Now he's okay. But he was dog, you know what, until you figured out, oh, he also lost a sister or lost someone. Right. So I feel like there's some commentary there underneath the surface about how they feel about true crime watchers and readers. Now, I could be wrong, but that's just how I took it with how the characters reacted to that audience.
Yeah. Okay.
And honestly, and I know there are extreme people in all kind of all types of fans. You can be a casual listener, watcher, and you can be extreme, like coming to like all the things, listening to all the things. You know, I enjoy true crime, but I'm not going to conventions. I'm not buying shirts. I'm not a fan like that. I feel like I listen to that stuff for education, information. Like I like to know.
I can recognize.
I want to know what the crazy looks like, so I know how to avoid the crazy.
Yep.
I like to stay alive, so I do listen to some of it, and I will go months without listening to anything, and then I'll have a couple of podcasts that I keep in rotation when I'm in the mood. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I did sort of find it a little bit annoying how the characters came down on people that enjoy true crime. And I did not like it. So maybe that's because I do enjoy it once in a while that I felt that. And maybe that's not what she meant at all. I don't know. Okay. But that's how I took it.
Okay. That totally just went right over my head. Except for the part like, I almost felt like when she was doing these events, she did it as a way because she's, officers said, most of the criminals either show up at the scene of the crime again, or they come to these places to get updates, so that's why I felt like she felt some of these people who were attended were the scums of the earth because she possibly thought one of them was her child's kidnapper.
Which ultimately ended up being true.
Right. But do not put down true podcast listeners or, people who are, I won't say fanatics. Some of them have solved some crimes. I watched some show on Hulu about this network of people who are on the web, and I can't remember the name of the website, but they've helped solve crimes. They helped solve the crime for the black guy who won the lottery.
Mm.
and he was killed by his so-called personal assistant or something. So
Mm.
do not knock them. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do. But yeah, like you were saying, she didn't care that much for Waylon until she found out he lost someone. And I'll just say this now, like I liked mysteries in the past, but once my niece and nephew were murdered, my love for mystery amped up because I just felt like I was trying to solve their crimes because it was, like you have that passion because you're just like, the cops aren't looking, they're
Yeah.
not searching. And especially with a black niece and a black nephew,
Yeah.
and you're just like, how about this? How about that? So you're always listening, kind of like,
Yeah.
trying to piece things together. And everybody's a suspect, when it first happens.
It's crazy that you say that because while I did not have a close relative that was murdered, when I was younger in my early 20s, I was with someone whose brother's girlfriend got murdered.
Hmm.
And I wasn't listening to true crime and watching true crime documentaries until after that. And
Yeah,
I
because it
don't,
touches you different.
yeah,
It touches you different.
yeah.
And and even my whole family, like my daughter and I don't know if you've seen or heard of this show. It's called Signs of a Psychopath.
Mm,
And I think it's Discovery ID. And like you, I watch this stuff because, for one, I know my niece and nephew's murderers are still out there.
mm-hmm,
So I watch those type of things because I want to recognize who's the creep that's
mm-hmm,
constantly talking to me when I'm walking my dog, or the creep that I happen to see, more than once, or
yeah.
people that you just come across. um and I watched this show, and showing these signs, and I was like, oh, I remember a student I had when I was in working in the educational field, and he wind up killing somebody.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, and you kind of saw these steps, but people just kept saying, or putting them in this, and it's like, ooh. Or those
Yeah.
co-workers that shoot up places, you're just like,
Oh,
y'all better watch it, leave so and so alone.
don't talk to them, look the other way. Yeah,
Yes.
like something's missing, something is not clicking. You could tell. I feel like I'm more aware than ever, and not to the point
Mhm.
where it's like hyper, right? You still live
But you
your
pick up
life.
on
You
something.
still go about your business, but you're
Yeah.
just more aware,
Oh
more
yeah.
paying
When you're in
attention.
public, yeah, like because I take the metro in for work, and I'm not kidding. I'm watching my surroundings.
Mhm.
I'm looking at folks that, yeah, all those things. But I did like, like with the true crime part, being a podcaster, which, like we were talking before, that this trope, I don't know if we want to call it a trope, or this element is being used often
Mhm.
in books. Like I think maybe within the last 6 to 7 months, we may have read 3 books maybe that had like a
That mentions a
podcast in
podcast
it.
aspect,
You
yeah.
know, yeah. But
Yeah.
this I did like, because he did his setup and the talking, and it felt kind of real.
Mhm.
The way he brought in his equipment, and so if she was given a dig, she did her research on how a
She
podcast is
did.
done. Yeah.
She did.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I am curious. Like I wonder am I the only one that felt like that? Y'all tell me.
Yeah.
Did you feel any
Hmm.
kind of about how she felt about true crime enthusiasts
Okay.
or watchers, listeners, whatever?
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to think. Yeah, that totally went over my head. But I did really enjoy her author's note because she's not a mother.
Mhm.
But she said she felt like, this story came to her, and she really did her research on, all these women who killed their kids,
Mhm.
and how, I can't remember which one that she talked about in the notes. She kind of mentioned two, I think, of the women in the story, but in her author note, she mentioned one mother in particular who kind of even was asking for help
Yeah.
from her husband, and no help was given.
Yeah.
And so many times you're just like, I think like in this story, her husband, Isabel's father, just kept telling her, you're going to be okay, just do this, You don't need this, or he kept dismissing her feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they're real. But
I mean,
yeah,
when she tried to kill the whole family, okay,
and you
that
covered it up. That was the other thing. Like,
she tried to gas everyone to death, and then of course the house caught on fire. That was an opportunity to get help.
exactly. But he had an image to uphold. He
Yeah,
was
he
a
was a
member of Congress.
congressman. Yeah.
Yep. And he had an image to uphold. And who helped him uphold that image? The officer in town.
You know what? I don't care about no image. If I woke up and I found my
Oh,
significant
yeah, she
other trying
gone.
to kill me in the house with them, dude, your
Gone.
ass is being whatever they call that hold.
Hospitalized.
Yes, I will be having you hospitalized.
72-hour hold.
Yes,
Yeah.
because no, just no.
She will not be painting.
No,
If she is, she will be on somebody's ward painting.
right.
Me and the children will be, yeah. But yeah, so all those little things. But what I did like, when we want to go into that postpartum psychosis, what I did like is she did not mirror Isabel's future with the missing of her son, um, making us feel like she did, come on, get my words right. I wrote it down here. I'm glad she did not allow the story to mirror in the path of Isabel's mother's story, where she killed her child because of
Yes,
postpartum psychosis, because the baby was
yes,
18 months. Because that's what my fear was. Like, once we figured out Margaret was killed by the mother, it was kind of like, oh my God. So, and they mentioned that it could be genetic.
yeah.
It runs in families. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh
Well,
crap,
she
don't tell
kind of
me.
let us there. She let us think it
Hmm.
for a moment. Like
Yes,
when
she
that
did.
old man's like said, I saw
I saw
you.
you.
I saw you with your child. I saw you. So it's like, what? So she let us think it for a minute until we got the true story. She dangled it. And
Man,
it would
she
have been,
dangled a lot of stuff
yeah.
in our face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that
She
is
got
what
me.
it made you think, well, maybe should she walk off? And she supported that
Hmm.
by Isabel saying, oh my God, I'm standing over my kid's crib. Oh my God, maybe I did do it. She started
Right.
questioning herself.
Yes. Yeah. It was, yeah. And I'm really glad that she didn't do that,
Yeah.
because it would have been too simple.
Yeah.
But she let us wait for a while with that.
Yeah.
She let us simmer, marinate on, did she or did she not? And
Mm-hmm.
then she brought us in on another. And I was like, okay. And I think that this was suspenseful.
It
This
was.
is a suspense story. It was mystery, it was suspenseful.
Domestic thriller a little bit, I think.
Oh, she, if you want to, and I'm not sure what they labeled this, as far as genre, but definitely the suspense. I was on the edge of my seats at points, like, okay, so who did it? What's next?
Yeah, I think that is so wild that the new girlfriend. And it's like, think about it. Isabel told Valerie, think about this. My kid is getting older. He can talk better. In a minute, he'll be telling me about you.
Yeah.
Of course, he has a reason to get rid of his child that he didn't want
Yeah.
anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. It's like, wow,
Daddy's
mind
friend, or daddy
blown.
hugged so and so. Daddy was kissing, blah blah. You hear these stories of dads getting busted because the kids is told mom, "Yeah, daddy's got a new friend." Yeah. Oof.
Honestly, which made Valerie seem insane because you look like his current wife. You know
Oh
it.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you
You do.
walked down the street with that woman's child and said
And
you
that
were
neck.
her. You said,
Yeah.
I am Isabel Drake or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You look like it. You're going to steal this woman's child.
Yeah.
You had an affair with him for 2 years, being in his house, up there with his kid. Like, you're the worst.
Plain house.
That's why I felt no sadness when she killed
No.
you.
No. No. At
None.
first, like, I was just like, leave her alone. But no, I did not feel that. I'll take that back. Once she realized that he was, a dirty bastard and wanted, once Waylon kind of informed her that I don't think my sister killed herself, or she might have encouraged because she was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And she started piecing things together. I was like, yeah, he does need to know. If the girl doesn't believe her, oh well, I've dropped this nugget. The choice is yours. But woo, Isabel didn't know she was gonna come into all that wealth of information.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about the title and cover? Well, the
I gotta look
cover
at the cover.
was easy. It was the marsh that her little sister walked into. I think that's the
Okay.
water from
Mm-hmm.
the little sister's death. But the
Yeah.
title, All
The
Dangerous
dangerous.
Things.
Yeah. Because they mentioned it once, and she mentioned, I think that was the moment when Waylon kind of reveals to her, or she figures out, who Waylon is, the sister, which I never saw that coming.
No.
I never ever suspected him to be Allison's brother. I don't know if we mentioned that or not.
Yeah.
But but he kind of mentioned, how he made Allison shrink, and he basically was like, he presents, all these little dangerous things. At first I was like, do I like this title or do I not?
I feel like the title could have been better.
Yeah, because you know what, like, it fits after we talk about it, because we do recognize all the dangerous things, but it wasn't like and most of the times I think, like, when you have titles, those draw you in
Mm-hmm.
to the story,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know anything about the story but afterwards I get it. But when I read the synopsis and the title, I was just like, what is this about?
Mm-hmm.
I was like you, like, I wasn't like totally sold, but I was like, okay, I'm willing to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it wasn't exciting,
No.
but after you read it, you get it.
Yeah. It makes sense after, but I don't know. I still think it could have been titled better. I still think that.
Yeah.
But the story was good.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I'm always waiting for, why was this title picked? And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
all those little dangerous things, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's very low
But
key, very subtle.
low key, yeah.
Yeah.
But to draw me in, like, if I was at the bookstore and I saw that, I was like, and then to read the synopsis, you're just like, because in the synopsis, she does not talk about the dual timelines.
No.
She just mentions there's something from her past.
Yes.
So yeah.
All right. So I think what's left is the narrator. We should probably talk about the narrator.
Carissa.
Yes. And I know for sure I have listened to her before.
Oh, yeah. I think we've read a few books by her, where she narrated.
Yeah, she's a pretty good narrator. I enjoyed it very much. I listened at 2.0 speed. So, and she did A Good Marriage. He started it. Yeah, I've listened to her quite a few times. I've liked the way she managed speaking for Ben. I could tell the difference between the women. I think she did a really good job, honestly.
Yeah, she did. She was excellent. Them as younger children, Margaret and Isabel as, young Margaret and young Isabel. Yeah. You had Ben, you had Ben, the
Waylon.
officer, Waylon, and her dad. If I think, at least those four men that she had to do, and Casey, Isabel, Valerie. Oh,
She had a lot.
And the mother. I think the mother spoke a little bit. So yeah, she had like 8 characters, and there was a clear distinction. There was never a time I did not know who was speaking.
Same. I was never confused.
No, not at all. So yeah, I enjoyed her. And I think we talked about her before, or whatever book that we have done on the podcast, when she was the narrator, that she did a great job. So this just seals the deal.
Yeah,
For me, if I
absolutely.
happen to, like, I need a good audiobook with and I want to give that little tidbit too. Like, she added to the suspense too with the narration. She added that extra touch. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, you can tell the emotions of some of those scenes. The tension was running high at times. The confusion from Isabel. I mean, Isabel was very
Yes,
confused. Like,
yes, and you felt all of it, like that. Like we were talking about that moment when she was with Valerie and Isabel realized that Valerie, this bitch killed my child. I
yes,
felt it. I felt all
that
of that.
moment,
Yeah,
like she went from being like, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should, she went from that into when she saw those photos and she's like, wait a minute.
yes,
Wait
and
a minute.
snubble. Y'all didn't just start dating.
hmm
No, 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 no,
She's like,
no.
how
Yes,
long? How long? She
girl. Now, like, okay, so we want to go there. Now, if Apple or Netflix needs to do a damn story
hmm
versus the last thing I told you, this one
Yeah.
right here. Yeah, because that build up, woo, just kind of looking like
Yeah.
that stubble, that that progression.
Yes.
That's not much.
No.
I remember when my husband looked like that.
hmm
It's basically what it was. Like, he didn't look like that just 6 months ago.
No.
That's years.
Yes.
Yeah,
That was so wild. That
yeah, it
scene
was.
was very well done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, she gonna go crazy on you. She lost
Right.
it.
Tick, tick, boom.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly it.
Yeah,
OMG.
yeah, yeah,
Um, Anything else we should cover before we rate it? I think we hit the high stuff, the most
yeah,
important things.
yeah. She tricked the hell out of us, though. I got one
Yeah.
more trick that she tricked me with. Like at the end, after the officer comes to the house and says, Valerie was killed and blah blah
hmm
blah, and then they move to the jail scene. I
hmm
thought she was in jail.
No, you
It was
did.
a part, yeah, it was a line in there where she's like, yeah, these lights are bad and I can't, see something in this, and, in the jail. And then she says, then the officer brings Ben to her. And I was like, oh, she's not in jail, it's him.
Yeah.
It was just like, did she get arrested? Because I thought she may have gotten arrested for killing Valerie because I can't remember that line. I should have wrote it down, but
Yeah.
it kind of confused me because I was just like, because she didn't say she was coming to visit Ben.
No, she
She
just
basically said
started
she was
there.
in that room waiting with those fluorescent lights. And I was like,
The
oh my
author did that
gosh.
twice at the end. Like, after she's gonna kill Valerie, and then it skips to 2 days later. She's just sitting in her
Mm,
living room, and I'm like,
yeah.
wait, does she have Valerie? Is she still torturing her, or is she
See, exactly. Yes. Right, because was she like
dead?
just ticking or like tapping or doing something? And it
Yeah,
was just, yeah. So yeah, she did. She did a real good job with that, that suspense and making us think like what really just happened.
yeah,
Yeah.
very good. It was well done.
So yeah, that's my last note. I've hit, like you said, we hit the high level marks and
hmm
some fun stuff. So yeah.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and rate this book. How about you go first?
Gosh. Oh, like after I talked to you, like at first I was like, I want to give this a 4, but now I think I want to give it a 5. I really, really enjoyed this book. So I'm
Okay,
going to give it a 5.
I started with a 4, and I'm going to stay with a 4.
Okay.
I really
All right.
liked it, but
Okay.
for me, I had made a note of 64%. 64% for
Uh,
me is where things got moving, and there was a lot of
yeah.
groundwork that was done,
Yeah.
almost a hair too much. It came together so seamlessly,
Yeah.
but I
Too long.
it was just a little bit too much lead time leading into it. I could have
Okay.
used a little bit more forward momentum sooner. Um,
Okay.
I enjoyed it more than the other book I read by her, A Flicker in the Dark. And I
Mm-hmm.
think this it was good. I would recommend it, but it's not
Yeah,
quite a
a 5 for
5
you.
for me because we
Yeah,
don't do
and that's
halves here. So
nope.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's why I was like, I was kind of there. And that's so odd because I'm the one who doesn't like slow burns, and this, and yeah, but and to be honest, I felt like it didn't pick up. I think I told you like at that
80%.
80% mark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You said 80%.
Okay.
And I mean, honestly, I don't seek out slow burns, but
No, I know you don't.
I'm not like slow burn
You never
X. Like
know.
I'm not anti,
Yeah.
but I think, and I do appreciate where the author can get me and I can't guess the whole thing. Like I
Hmm.
had some guesses that were in the wheelhouse, but I didn't nail it. And she got
Yeah.
kudos for
Exactly.
that. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, still 4. I think 4 is a great score. It was a good
Yeah.
book.
It is. Yeah. Yep. No, and you don't know what a slow burn. You don't know if it's a slow burn until you get into it. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yes, good deal. Okay, so you guys, next up, we are going to read Gone Girl. Isn't that right? That's our
Yay.
next book.
Yep. Yep.
We both read and enjoyed Gone Girl, so this is kind of like a 10-ish year anniversary of that book. Maybe 11 years
Hmm.
technically this year, but is it
Yeah.
10 or 11? I don't know. It's around there.
Yeah.
So we're going to read Gone Girl and we're going to see if it holds up for us. Does it hold up a decade later? And
Yeah.
we're going to talk about the movie a little bit too, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have to rewatch that
Yeah.
to kind of get refreshed. But yeah, because that was definitely an unreliable
Mm-hmm.
character, our narrator. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it because that was
Same.
one of our, I think, probably out of all the books like if somebody always, because a lot of books always compare themselves to Gone Girl, like this is the so and so of Gone
Yeah,
Girl,
it's
and
the
we're just
gold
like,
standard, right?
yes, and when we read the other books, we're like, no,
Gone Girl was a 5-star read for me.
yeah, yeah,
And I thought that movie was a very good adaptation.
yep,
But again, it's been a long time since I've seen it. So we shall see
yeah.
how
Our
it
tastes have
holds.
changed and
Mm-hmm.
we've evolved. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I know one thing we wanted to mention, kind of like with if you liked this book, because this book definitely gave me, was it Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier vibes, where the son was kidnapped.
Oh yeah, the son was kidnapped at like during Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, so kind of like, so if you like this book, you might like Little Secrets, or you might like, it's kind of like that same vibe, because yeah, that first, probably the first 50-60% of the book, definitely Little Secret vibes, but it doesn't have that subplot
Mm-hmm.
of, or the dual timelines, but the mother possibly being the suspect of the kidnapped child, that kind of premise. I think you probably like that.
Yeah, definitely missing child vibes. Not so much any kind of mental stuff though. There's
No,
none of
no.
that.
I read somewhere else where somebody said, if you like that too, you would like The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. These are books I have not read. And What Have We Done by Alex Finlay.
Okay.
So yeah, just
I
some
haven't read
possible
him in a
recommendation.
while.
No, only thing I've read is what we did last year, I think, on the podcast. I think we read him last year.
Yeah, we read The Night Shift.
Yes.
And I have Every Last Fear on my TBR by him, but I haven't gotten around to it.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. So that's the only thing I just wanted to touch on with that. But yeah, I'm excited for Gone Girl. I have to have a little, I can't say we'll have a watch party, but I'm going to have a watch party.
Mm-hmm.
And take notes and all that kind of stuff. So see if it still holds up. Yeah.
All right. I think it'll be fun.
I'm excited.
And if you want to talk about this book with us, you can join us over on the Book Clubs app and talk about Gone Girl with us and the other book club members. And of course, as always, if you're not into book club, no worries. We will be right here in your feed again next month to talk about Gone Girl. Okay, I think we are done for today.
Yes.
And we will catch you in the next one. Until then, take care of yourselves. Bye, guys. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review, or like this episode on your favorite podcast player. It seems so simple, but it really helps me out. You can share this podcast with other book nerd friends or on your favorite social media space. You can also join the Shelf Addiction Patreon family. For as little as $2 a month, you will help us produce even more awesome content for your ears. You can also consider joining the Shelf Addiction official Facebook group, where we talk all things bookish and more in a safe space. The Shelf Addiction podcast is a part of the Nerdy Maven network. You can also reach us via email at info@shelfaddiction.com. Thank you for listening.